So my name is Alan. I teach in the School of Mechanical Design and Engineering. I've been a lecturer in this institution since 2002. In 2016 I became the first year class tutor for product design, which is one of the higher points level entry programs within the school. In summary, developing a colour-coded element progression of all the modules, all the assignments across all the modules in one semester. So that's what I'm going to discuss now. It's based on practicality rather than research or pedagogy, yet in collaboration with others. So I was delivering content on the program for 10 years since its inception, and I'm sure this will resonate with everybody. Students' time management is probably their downfall. They rush assignments at the end, they can't get things done. So as I thought, so when I entered into the class tutor role, specifically because it's a first year class, a year one class that I'm teaching, I thought to myself, how can I kind of prepare them or structure them better in their progression to first year, which is a brand new environment to them. So they've come from a secondary school environment, they do their homework, they go home, they do their homework, they go home. They're in a different environment, so how is their time management going to be affected, or how could I give something back to them? So this is the inspiration behind. I am an engineer, so Gantt Charts seemed an obvious point to start from. It's not the only way, but it is a good way. And no other program in my school has a granular or visual strategy. If they see it, they can understand it, as Greg has alluded to as well. A list doesn't really help them, but some form of chart will help them, hopefully. I'll explain what granular means in a few moments. Post-creation of what I have, a colleague of mine, actually the program chair of product design, passed me back onto this piece of information here, which is a link which you have from the PowerPoints, which is the inactive, currently, Map My Program site from the UK. I was enthused that I had got something similar to what that was. So this is what I have. This is my creation. This, essentially when it's finished, on a wall in 2 studios in Bolton Street, I have something that's about this size. I have copies here in the blue-purple folder. If anyone wants to take a copy, be my guest. This is, do I have a laser pointer? No. I don't have a laser. Thank you. So these relate to the academic calendar weeks, notably review week, notably end of term, and also end of semester exams. The colour coding is there for the students' benefit. Green is good, red is bad, everything in the middle is everything in the middle. That big bunch of red there is the warning that I'm trying to give to the students that because of the program framework, all of the lecturers are all going to try and get assessments that end somewhere around week 12 or 13. So I mentioned a few minutes ago, one, it's visual, we can see it all. Two, it's granular. Each cell that we see there is an actual day in the calendar. It is very specifically formatted on the actual calendar. So every single cell you see there. So they will understand, hopefully, that in this particular week they'll have 3 or 5 assessments due. In the weeks before they can see they have 3. This is actually a modified version, and I'll explain why it's modified. Each of those entries there represents a module, a lecture, the submission type, the weighting, etc. So in one fell swoop I kind of explain to them what do they need to do. And the idea being that this doesn't arrive in week 13, this arrives in week 4. That's the plan. So for the program team, for our point of view, from the lectures that are all sitting down, so Zini related, or talked about collaboration across modules, across programs, we get to identify, so the lecturers can sit down and say, well, we can't have 8 assignments arriving in a week or it will be a disaster. How can we restructure our assignment submission or assignment issue to help the students so that they're not completely overloaded at the end of the semester? So we can collaborate together and we can revise our submission dates. And in that particular chart sample, 2 of those assessments have actually been moved back from week 12 and 13. So it was even worse for them than it is now. So in that particular case, that was pretty bad for them in week 12 and 13. But it was a lot worse until we gave ourselves something to go on. So we identify pinch points, we collaborate, but me personally, as well as being kind of the mentor or pastor, or at least the point of contact for the first year students, I do try to offload some responsibility. John O'Connor mentioned earlier on, the students need to have a responsibility of what assessments are. When are they going to start? When are they going to end? And they have to do them. No one else can do the assignments for them. So I'm trying to give them that opportunity to say, well, in 3 months' time, you need to be aware of such. For the students, so a lot of this is repeated, but importantly, identifying the lecturing breaks and any additional capacity they have for those assignments. So in semester 1, I think we only have a review week, but in semester 2, when I remap this, we have Easter, we have review week. They can then hopefully identify with either the printed copy that's on the wall or the digital copy that they get, that they can manage their time just that little bit better. It doesn't always work, but I'm trying to give something back to the students as a year tutor. Workload. So I sent out an email, a general email to all the lecturers on the program for that semester. For the year on that semester. I asked them for their content. They don't always have it, and that's perfectly fine. Not every lecturer knows exactly when things are going to happen. Week 3, they get a reminder. Week 4, I develop a preview sheet, which I send out to all the program team for that semester. And then week 4, as a rollout, is I take the spreadsheet and I print it out on 2 A0 sheets, and I post them on the studios around where the students will frequent on a very regular basis. And they also get a digital copy on PDF, which is static, but it has been developed. And I suppose where I would look at it is they know exactly when things are going to happen. If anything, if it's going to change, it will go forward, and they'll get more time rather than going backwards. But at least they have what you might call the worst case scenario at that point in time. At the moment, it is an onerous task. It is me. I do have to develop this on an Excel spreadsheet. And me personally, I have a very high or low threshold for poor formatting of content, so it takes a while for me to format everything to my own particular taste. I have written some custom VBA macros for Excel to help in the color coding, again, to help the students understand the visual concept of green, yellow, and red. The perception, we'll talk about disadvantages first. Everybody has to buy in. All the lecturers have to supply me with the information. If they don't, it does fall down. And in certain instances it has. I have a cohort of lecturers that are instant responders. Straight away they give me the content. Perfect, it's straight in. My time, again, it is a self-imposed development of the document. I have to do my own presentation standards, otherwise I don't feel good about myself giving it to the students. And there is also a lack of automation, which I will talk about in a second. Advantages. Okay, so this is the good stuff. We as lecturers get to see the program, or the implementation of assignments over a semester from a program level, and we can all discuss. That's the benefit. For the students, they see it as well, but they see a visualization of it. It's not just a list. It's not just a piece of paper. It's a visual. And I've also retasked this for another aspect, which could even come into the test or the program level assessment, which is the Year 2 super assessment, which is almost a complete different discussion that I could have done instead of this, but I may talk to other people about it. But I've retasked the same Excel sheet for a different year that I'm not class tutor. As far as developing it, as I said, it's an onerous task. It is Excel, it's tedious, it takes time. I could automate it. Again, I could talk to other people about automation. Me personally, I think that I could port it to a database, I could port it to some other online facility. What really would be beneficial for all the students is if it was program-wide, if there was year 1, 2, 3, and 4, all had some form of similar content. But the year tutors aren't obliged to do this. It is, again, I'm trying to give something back to the students. Everybody is busy, we all know that. If I could make it easier to implement, then it would have a more program-wide accessibility. The lecturers could come in and they could add their content, and it could auto-magically create this content. That would be fantastic. And ideally online access. So given what we've heard before, we're kind of, the ideal solution is possibly a midway between what I have and what Greg has, and wouldn't that be wonderful if we could automate it? And then everybody's happy, and then we could roll it out even further. The simpler it is for adoption for lecturers, the better all the students will be in all the modules or programs that it is implemented. And so, thanks for listening. I know this is the last one, and I know everyone's happy now that it's done. If you have any questions, you can email me. The proof of the pudding is in second year and third year and fourth year, the class reps of those years always ask me for a copy of what I've done for them, which means that they want it or they use it, and then they co-create. Let's say they make it up themselves. So that proves back to me that they are taking it on board and they're using it, which makes it worthwhile. So thanks for that.